Okay, I had a really weird dream last night, so this video may not have like a clear through line of a point, but I have thoughts post weird dream. Because it was one of those weird dreams that you don't remember what it was about when you wake up, but you wake up just like shaken to your core about this dream. And then you lay there for like 5 or 10 minutes, like begging your brain to remember what it was you dreamt about, but your brain has no interest in remembering what you dreamt about. So I got up, I fed the animals, I had a cup of coffee. I'm on my second cup of coffee. I still can't remember what the dream was about, but I do still have the same feeling the dream left me with. So if I may, and if you're willing to come along with me on this journey, I'm gonna stumble awkwardly through the feelings this dream left me with. Because the dream centers around this little like parasocial TikTok world that I've built for myself with 230,000 people that like check in on what I have to say when TikTok isn't suppressing my videos, which they do, probably because I say a lot of bad words, which is probably the same problem with YouTube. Whatever. Instagram seems fine with my bad words lately here, but that's neither here nor there. But the point of this is, if you don't know me, I've been a little bit of, let's say, a disaster my entire life. I have ADHD, as we know, but with ADHD often comes a lot of depressive and anxiety, like, periods in your life as well. And I am not immune to those periods. And they're very frustrating for the people in your lives, especially when those people aren't, supportive of mental issues or think they're all stupid and made up. And when you spend 30 plus years playing the role of, oh, Kathy's gonna screw something up, but she'll be okay, she lands on her feet in the end, like the kind of adorable, pathetic one in the family, and then all of a sudden have like the internet take you seriously, like validate all of the things. Like nothing I say to you guys isn't things that I haven't always said to people my entire life, but because they knew the teenage screw up version of me, or the, drunk karaoke girl in college version of me, or just the another relationship fell apart version of me, it's hard for them to kind of separate the kind of disaster version of Kathy that they know to the academic, reasonable, and intelligent version of Kathy that you guys have all gotten to know. But I am nothing if not well balanced. I am equally a disaster as I am smart, which should horrify all of you because I'm kind of smart. The air fryer is done. My toaster strudels are done. They've been done for like 5 minutes, but I forgot I made them. To the previous point I was making, kind of a disaster. But where I think all of this came from is that I've spent this last week kind of going through all of like the previous chat threads that I've had over the last few months and organizing all of the things I've learned for Project Janet. And then I realized that, like I told you I was starting this, but in true ADHD fashion, I am an expert at compartmentalizing things. So I haven't really shared much of Project Janet here. Most of it is over on Substack. And I feel like I need to get organized and like bring my TikTok world to my Substack world and the Project Janet world and kind of bring it all together instead of keeping it in boxes. And that thought is what got me thinking about how compartmentalized my life is. But that compartmentalization that I do in my life, I think, is a big part of my problem, right? The reason that there are people in my life that can dismiss me so easily and still tell people that I'm nothing but dramatic and pathetic and I just seeking attention on the internet, right? The only reason they can think that is because I effectively compartmentalized my life to where they only saw that version of me and that this version of me was so separate. So when the two converged, they couldn't handle it, so they shut it out. And in doing so, also shut me out. And that got me thinking about other relationships, right? Like, you know how Facebook and Substack also apparently will tell you to follow people that are like looking at your profile and stuff. So like the other day, this person popped up on my people you should follow on Substack, who I would have never anticipated being on Substack at all because they're not the type of person that is going and seeking independent news media or like, independent writers. Like this person famously doesn't read, like bragged about it on their Instagram. But all of a sudden they have a Substack profile and Substack is telling me to follow them when I haven't thought about this person in 6 fucking years. So why is that happening? It brings me back to the original point. People had an image of me. that they had used to define me in whatever role I was playing in the story of their life. But the second I took control of that and put myself out here for the world to see who I really am and share my actual thoughts with the world, it became a lot more difficult for those people to define me in their stories because evidence of who I am existed in the world. And that has blown up their narrative, and I think, or at least it's starting to appear that way, many of their lives. Because so far I've seen marriages that have ended, and I don't think it's my fault, but I think it's my fault. I've seen friendships end. I've seen all sorts of things that I don't want to say too obviously because I don't want to start shining flashlights on people that don't need flashlights shined on them. But my point is that I found my voice on here. And you guys were a big part of me finding that voice. And in me finding my voice, it also sort of, I don't know if vindicated me is the word I need for a lot of people who had cast me in a role in their life to allow me to be the villain in their story when I never deserved to be the villain. And I let that narrative exist for a long time. I walked around with the pain of being a villain in stories where I wasn't the villain for a very long time. And only in the last few months, maybe, have I started to realize that I was way too quick to accept other people's perceptions of me in how I define myself. And who I am is not how people see me as much as I thought it was, right? Because the perceptions and the definitions that people who know you well will give are very different than the ones that people who don't know you well or just met you will give. And maybe the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Like, am I kind of a disaster? Yeah, I'm not saying people are wrong to say that I'm not fucked up. Like, I have my moments of being completely fucked up. But none of that negates the moments I have of being very reliable, very organized, very intelligent, and very, like, on point with what I know. The truth of me lies somewhere in between the people who have cast me as an irrational, unreliable victim and those that have sort of put me on a pedestal here as this like all-knowing political commentator. I'm neither of those things, totally, but I'm a little bit of both of those things, for what it's worth.